I'm ready.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's board meeting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Shapiro.
Here.
Trustee McGreal is absent this evening.
Debbie, she left me a text message. She'll be about 10 minutes late.
Okay. And when she does arrive, I will put it in the minutes. Trustee Dizelle.
Here.
Trustee Ryan.
Here.
Trustee Michaels.
Here.
Trustee Dwyer.
Here?
Mayor Kitching.
Here.
We have a quorum.
If you would, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
All right, officers' reports, starting with myself this evening. First, we have an update by our Mannheim Solutions. Gentlemen, got a microphone for them?
Good evening, everybody. This will become a regular process for us at the first meeting of every month. And in fact, in the future, when we have enough time, we'll be sure to also email each and every one of you our reports before.
Thank you.
What Roger is handing out is a packet.
Thank you.
It's all information you have beforehand, and it's a progress report on what we're working on right now. And also with some things that we propose to work on. First of all, you have the new TIF application, which has had some additional revisions. And along with that is the process flow chart, which you've seen before, and a scorecard to evaluate each application that comes in. And of course, something else we have to spend more time discussing is a committee, a review committee for not only TIF applications, but for other economic development programs. There's also a TIF facade grant application, which I believe was passed out beforehand within the past month. So you now have that, another copy of that available. And we're also preparing this, we are already working with existing businesses in the TIF district that are looking to make applications. And a lot of that takes, it's like, reminds me of my days of working with the small business development centers. We're actually spending time counseling them and walking them through the process. Part of that, too, we've also discovered is that we also have to come up with, and Roger and I will do this, put together some internal procedures for all the departments that will eventually be touching each of these applications. Because as an example, in the one for El Coyote, the code enforcement has to go out and has to validate whatever work they've had done before there's any reimbursement. So there's a lot of internal paperwork like that that we'll pull together for you. Which bringing up El Coyote, we had another meeting with them last week. They've already started making some improvements on their own. But again, we have to work out some procedures also for the businesses so they know how to proceed. So we're in the process of doing that. We also met with Red Shoes Billiards last week, and we spoke with the landlord, and they're on track. We're again looking to do something and put in the application. The shock?
No, we need to talk about that landlord in that meeting. I had a conversation.
Oh, okay. Another reason why we have to put together an internal departmental thing going on, so we all touching base with each other, including the police and the fire and the like. And then also with Rim Marukas, I'm waiting to hear back from. Some of the proposals we have that we'll be working on in July, which we were just talking about putting together something, internal committee together internally, as well as another committee to review the applications for just the reasons we're talking about, so that there aren't any surprised looks or faces, so the right hand knows what the left hand is doing from the mayor's office all the way to each of the departments. With that, Roger, I'm going to turn the second portion of this over for the marketing, the external marketing, which Roger will be handling.
The one thing that we're planning on doing is moving ahead with implementing the retail marketing and development plan, which was adopted back here in May. And in the last page of that plan is a list of retailers that we had identified as targeted businesses. So the one thing that I'm going to be doing is putting together probably a simple one-page flyer that includes just some general description about opportunities here in Alsip, provides and presents some limited demographics. Most of these real estate developers and brokers, through CoStar or LoopNet or many other publications, even through some other applications with Cook County. Cook County has Connect to Cook, which has all the demographics on it, which are free to people who want to do research in Cook County. So we're going to be going after these retailers, focusing first on the ones that could fit into existing vacant spaces, which admittedly there aren't many, and then secondly on some of the other sites that are already established, which are fully under a single owner's or single developer's control. And then moving on later on as we get our feet more on the ground to working on how sites could be assembled and presented to developers as future development opportunities. But all of these, both what Chris has said he's planning to do with contacting existing retailers as well as what we're doing to attract new retailers, are still going to be done in connection with this retail development and marketing plan. One of the other resources that we intend to use, especially when it comes to looking at how retailers are being judged for design guidelines, is a Hitchcock study that was done a couple of years ago, which contains a whole chapter on retail design and facade improvement consistency and what you want to try to accomplish with what the village has already done with streetscape improvements. So we're going to be asking that the village board and the applicants follow these same design guidelines when they present requests for funding from TIF here in Alsip, and we hope that that's going to improve the architectural appearance along the Pulaski corridor, and then eventually, it could be implemented on the other corridors, because it would be still very similar to what Hitchcock originally presented for the whole Cicero Road corridor, or Cicero Avenue corridor years ago. A couple of other things that we're going to be working on will be, at least starting a discussion about, sales tax or hotel tax rebates or economic development assistance that might be supplied. There's some retailers you probably don't need to assist, which already have a command of, say, some of the fast food businesses. But if it's a full-service restaurant or if it's a clothing retailer, they will probably generally, if they're developing a brand new market opportunity, they're probably in hopes of attracting some sort of an incentive to set up business here. And so we're going to at least have those discussions and circulate proposals to you for that over the next couple of months. And as part of what we do, Chris is probably going to be devoting more time, and myself some time, to holding office hours here in Alsip using the conference rooms that are available here a few hours per week. And if we need to meet with you or can meet with you at any of those times, we'd be available to do that, but we're probably going to be using it more to meet with businesses and developers who may be coming here to look at opportunities. One of the opportunities that we need this flyer for is just to represent the village at a Retail Connection workshop that the International Council of Shopping Centers hosts for the Chicago region early in August. And that's one opportunity to see what retailers are active in the whole Chicago metropolitan and Midwest marketplace. And they hold this workshop as a preparation for the ICSC deal-making show, which is more of a trade show that is held at Navy Pier in October of each year. So we hope to use that as a springboard, really, to start making appointments and start making people aware of development opportunities here. So that gives you a little idea of what we're up to. I think what Chris and I are hoping to do is provide you with at least a written report every month. Probably just one of us will make the appearance here at the village board on some of those occasions, so we don't use up too much of your time. And then we'll be available on call at other times if you need to reach us at all. Our phone numbers and email addresses are being set up with the village email system, so you'll be seeing us more prominent as representatives of the village with a village email address. So, any questions for either Chris or I?
You know, Chris, maybe either one. I remember we had a discussion maybe 6 months or so ago with Roger from Alsip, who submitted an application regarding a replacement of a parking lot, and it did meet TIF qualifications, but his application was incomplete because it didn't include prevailing wages, which is part of that application then too. We asked him to resubmit. Have you folks had talks with him at all?
This?
This is the lawnmower company that we were talking to Catherine about. He's on our call list.
Yeah, I'm going to be here Friday afternoon for a couple of meetings, and that's one on my list.
Great.
But you're bringing up a really good point, John. I got to remember to talk closely into the mic so everybody can hear me. When we're talking about internal procedures as well as procedures that discovering with the companies, with the businesses in town, this came up with one of the companies already, which is that they had some work done and they weren't sure what the procedures were with the village for getting a permit, as an example, or hiring a contractor that is a licensee. So that's some of the policies and procedures we need to emphasize and get across and give a checklist, literally give a checklist to the businesses as well as develop that internal checklist, because there are issues like this that come up.
Okay.
And they've already come up.
Chief had a question as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, to address your concern, I'm unaware of your arrival or I had the boots on the ground all up and down Pulaski talking about signage and the deviations of the vinyl signs, and one of the guys that did address me was the lawnmower shop, and he was expressing a little bit of frustration because he was under the understanding that he was the first one to put in an application, and he wanted to be the first one considered, but he didn't know if any funding had gone out yet. I did tell him that your arrival was pending. I didn't realize that your arrival had come. Again, a communication issue, but I actually have...
Well, we haven't been here that long, so it's okay, Chief.
Okay, I was on Friday, so I do have his card in my pocket.
Okay, and in fact, staff has already sent me his name and address. But definitely, let's get together. We're on the email system now too.
Okay.
So I'll be here Friday after 1 o'clock.
If I could grab a quick 5
Yeah,
minutes with you.
you can do
after
that.
you're done speaking, and then I'll touch base with you.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
And always for the value of the public too, Manheim Solutions is our economic development group focusing on Pulaski at this time because it's being paid through the Pulaski TIF. So just we'd love to be all over town, but that's your main focus right now.
That's right.
Is Pulaski. Okay.
Gentlemen, do you have an update on the Taco Bell on Pulaski, where we're at with that?
Nothing on Taco Bell.
We're still waiting
But
for
I'll put it down on my list.
for the developer to bring in their contractors.
Do we have a present map depicting those TIF-eligible properties?
No, but when the GIS thing gets up, we'll have a great map of everything.
Until then, what do we use?
Well, we have our zoning map. That's about the best thing we've got. That's why we're going with the GIS.
It seems to me we should have a map depicting these TIF-eligible properties. And have you made any progress towards bringing in the existing businesses to have a sit down to let them know what it is that we're trying to do, to see if there's anything that we can do to assist those businesses that are already here in order to emphasize their facades or signage?
Yeah, we'll be getting together with Mary and organizing some sort of a meeting with those businesses to make them aware and try to set it up as a workshop so we can take them through the process.
Yeah, and we've kept on having these discussions, but we never seem to have a timeline, and we haven't put anything definitive. I'd really like to set up a target date
Yep.
so that we don't forget about those companies that are already here.
Yeah, and part of what we needed to do was establish a final document for the application process and procedure, so we could assure them of, what the process was, how to get to the point of getting an inducement resolution, and then, putting together the bid packet, and then complying with all the TIF regulations, both locally and that the State Department of Revenue sets up. And, Mary's very good at a lot of that, state procedural stuff, because she's already done it with the enterprise zone.
Right.
And we've just got to kind of keep reminding the business people to just carefully put one foot in front of the other as they go through that whole process.
But we should leverage that expertise and see if we can maybe get this ball rolling.
Yeah, we want to get a couple of good examples out there so that they can serve then as testimonials then to other businesses about how to go through the process and that sort of thing.
All right, thank you.
One other thing for our monthly reports that we will be filing with the village is kind of a tracking list. We'll be identifying companies that we identify as prospects that would be new to the village. We'll be identifying existing businesses that we're meeting with who may be expanding or seeking some sort of village assistance. We'll be identifying what we're doing on helping identify and market sites and buildings, and then start documenting what we regard as successes or wins as we get existing buildings occupied, or bring new businesses, or help businesses expand or remodel here in the community.
On that note, gentlemen, Aldi on Pulaski, do they have any plans on expanding?
I don't know. That's a question we can raise with Aldi, but if it's when we've talked to Aldi before, if it's a 5-aisle store, then that's generally what they consider state-of-the-art, from having dealt with Aldi in some other communities.
The only reason why I'm asking that is that I found out today that the one on Cicero is going to be closing down in mid-August, and they are going to be expanding and remodeling. And it'll be closed for about 2 months.
Our
Okay.
Aldi was supposed to do that as well, but when I talked to them, they said the main corporate office decides which business will expand, and obviously maybe the one on Cicero is doing a better business, and they're going to spend the money. I don't know, but
Yeah.
they stopped all progress as far as going forward with that.
Yeah, I know the other thing that Aldi has been trying to introduce in stores is a beer and wine section. I don't know whether they've been given the permits to do that here, or if you've got a package.
They have wine right now.
Okay.
Our Pulaski
Yeah.
one?
Yes, they do. Oh.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
I'd like the record to reflect that Trustee McGreal arrived at 7:33.
Next, we have a presentation by Wolf Investment Properties LLC, Series A, 6B, renewal request for 5925 West 115th Street. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Scott David, and I'm here with Mary Ann Grant, of Electric. I've got some presentation materials. I can pass them out.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks.
We're here tonight to ask your support for a renewal of the 6B, which was granted about 10 years ago, for Wolf Electric and Wolf Investment Properties.
Thank you.
Anyway, Wolf Electric is a local business, been here in Alsip for 15 years, been at the present location for about 10 years. Building was purchased, and at the time the building was purchased, my client put about $250,000 of money into the building to replace a number of items that needed to be replaced.
I don't think anybody can hear you, sir. You have to speak in.
Sorry. I will speak louder and into the microphone. Let me tell you a little bit about Wolf Electric. Wolf Electric is an electrical contracting outfit which does warehousing and distribution of electrical parts and supplies, fabricates, repairs, stages, assembles, repackages, and does shop works for various projects. Their clients and customers are private, local, state, governmental projects, private businesses, etc. The owners are Mary Ann Grant and Jeff Novotny. Currently, there are 13 employees, and 10 of them are union electricians. All of the employees are in compliance with the Cook County Living Wage Ordinance. The property's at 5925 West 115th Street. It consists of about a 12,000 square foot building. About 2,700 square feet are office. The rest is the shop and the warehouse. Again, the property was purchased in 2007. The building had been vacant for 24 months, and the village passed a resolution at that time for a 6B incentive classification. So as I said earlier, during the initial stages, the building was basically gutted. We believe about $250,000 was spent to replace the air conditioning units, the furnaces, walls, doors, lighting, fire alarm system. And then more recently, in the last 12 months, as you can see, my clients have put about $72,000 into the building for a number of different items, including a new roof on one part of the building, tuck pointing, LED lighting, seal coating the parking lot, new lighting in the warehouse, new soffits, etc. So the client has made a significant investment in Alsip and in this property. And just for background, the building was purchased at pretty much the height of the real estate market, and the property probably isn't worth the amount that was paid in 2007. And notwithstanding that, Mary Ann and Jeff have put a bunch of money into the building to keep it up. And in addition, during the recession, the number of employees went down to about 6 employees. And this is really an opportunity with this incentive for the business to retool, to put more money into the building, and to hire additional employees. And that is exactly what is planned. What we're hoping is going to happen is we have a target of 9 new electricians within the next 24 months and 1 office employee. And in addition to that, we have another roof to put on and more tuck pointing to do. So I think we have a couple of bids for that, and the numbers are in the materials, which I'm going to look at. Yeah, the planned improvements are, it's close to $50,000 for a new roof and almost $14,000 for some tuck pointing that has to be done. So again, this is a business that's here in Alsip, it's been here for 15 years, wants to put more money into the building, wants help with an incentive to continue for another 10 years, actually 12 years. And that will allow the business to utilize the additional cash flow to hire new employees, to continue to keep up a building which may not be worth what they put into it, but they're doing it anyway. The difference in taxes is significant. The taxes right now are, I think, $18,000 a year. And let me just verify the numbers for you, but you'll see that the difference between having a 6B and not having a 6B is significant. And yeah, about $30,000. Yeah, the taxes right now, or last year, were $18,686. And without a 6B, the taxes go to $4 a square foot for that building. That's about almost $46,000 a year. So it would be very helpful to have the incentive and maintain it so that we can continue to do what we're doing here in Alsip.
Well, thank you for your presentation. I'm pretty sure you had us at 9 new jobs, unless the board has anything else. Thank you very much.
I was just a short question, Mr. David. Aside from us certainly valuing your business being in town and so forth, although this is a 6B renewal, is there any criteria that you still have to meet on the county side? Because usually with a new 6B you do. What about the renewal?
Well, we have to file a renewal application, and it still has to be of the same use. And really, the key is getting the municipal support. And I think once we get that, the Cook County assessor will fall into place and be very happy with that.
That's fine. I just didn't, you didn't, although it was a very good presentation, I was reading through this, and Ms. Grant, it's well done. I again, we appreciate you staying in town. It just didn't mention anything about what the county was looking for, and that was
Great
my
question.
Yeah.
It's a application process like the initial one. Just we need to provide an ordinance and an application just indicating the same types of things, the amount of money that's been put into the building, and the potential of hiring new employees.
Great.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On the consent agenda, there's a request for approval of an ordinance amending the Alsip Village Code, Chapter 15.5, Personnel, Article 2, Employee Requirements and Benefits, Section 15.5-42, Tuition Reimbursement and Seminar Program. This is to help our employees continue their education. I also have a discussion of the South Suburban Mayors and Managers Association membership effective 7/1/16 for an annual cost of $12,632. Membership will subsequently discount the GIS Consortium membership to $7,000. Ed Pazel is here from the South Suburban Mayors and Managers Association. He is the executive director. Welcome, Mr. Pazel.
Good evening, Mayor and Village Board. I really appreciate the invitation to be here tonight. I know you have a full agenda, so I'll just take a couple minutes, give you a quick overview of the association, and if you have any questions, I think that'd be the most productive way to spend what time we've got. The South Suburban Mayors and Managers, we now represent 44 communities in southern Cook and eastern Will County. So our geographic area goes from the state line on the east. West we go to Orland, Tinley, Mokina. South we go to Beecher, Peatone, Monet, Crete. And along the city limits, so communities near here that belong are Crestwood, Orland Park, Orland Hills, Blue Island, Robbins. So many of your neighbors currently belong. What our mayors decided a few years ago, and traditionally most of the councils of government, which we are, and the Southwest Conference of Mayors, the councils of government, and we work very closely together with the Southwest Mayors, the Will County Governmental League. Our organization, a number of years ago, our mayors decided that we needed to expand and do much more than just transportation. And we still do transportation, but we focused also on housing and community development and on economic development. And those are the areas, I think, where we have some additional resources that we could make available to you that maybe you don't have currently. For example, in the housing and community development area, we created a land bank, a South Suburban Land Bank. And the purpose of that was to help communities who don't have the resources or the resources to acquire abandoned houses or commercial facilities. The land bank can help get those properties acquired, rehabbed, or demolished if necessary, and so you don't have to spend the time and resources locally on those kinds of things. We also received a $1.5 million grant from HUD a few years ago, and part of that is going to be used now for $50,000 grants to businesses or for housing or TOD developments. If a developer needs some startup to do some pre-development kinds of work, we'd be able to provide grants. So one thing we do a lot of is we're able to get grants on behalf of multiple communities where single individual communities sometimes don't have the ability to get that. The state and federal government and the county are looking for collaborations of communities, and that's what we try to do. From an economic development standpoint, we have a full economic development staff. We've created, and I know some of the mayor and others have been to some of our economic development meetings. One thing we've worked a lot on lately is workforce development, and I think, in fact, Reggie Greenwood, our director, has worked with one of your businesses in Alsip to try to help them find employees that they need and help them train them. One other example of the collaboration that we do is the enterprise zone work, which you'll hear, and we work really closely with Mary, and she does a tremendous job. She's a good resource to all of us. But as you recall, when that effort started a couple years ago, if every individual community or, the old CalSAG zone were to apply on your own, it could have cost tens of thousands of dollars to do that. We were able to work with Cook County, and they paid for $150,000 towards hiring the consultant to do that, and the local communities, including Alsip, put in just a couple $1,000s each, and we were successful in being able to do that. So those are just some examples. Just to make it clear, you would still be, for transportation, your STP program, you'd still be in the Southwest Conference of Mayors, and other communities do that. The Crestwood and all the others are in that. Because you're doing that, we discounted the dues by 10% to give an offset, and also the GIS consortium, which you, I think, joined just recently, there's a discount of $1,500 off the original quote because of that. And one other thing, getting back to the discussion on the enterprise zone map, I'll check. I think we may already have the TIF districts. We may already have those. So I'll check first thing in the morning. If not, we'll get them and get them to you. So I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Questions?
I think we need to get our feet wet with it, but it sounds like a great program, though, too. I like the trifold presentation that we have on our online packets here and so forth.
Well, thank you. And one other, we were going to put it up, but for sake of time, if you go on our website, ssmma.org, it's a tremendous website. It's got detail about all the programs that we do, and you'll get a quick primer on what you can take advantage of. Because it's only worth it. The more you as a board and the mayor participate and your department heads participate. One other quick thing. For example, tomorrow we're hosting a tour of the Cook County Emergency Operations Center in Oak Forest, and we've got about 45 community members coming, and part of that is they're offering, it's not only all this equipment that they have for generators and lights and pumps, vehicles, those not only available in emergency situations, you can get them anytime free of charge. So we're hosting a tour. If somebody wants to join us, just meet us over there at 10 o'clock.
We have used them before. They've loaned us some generators and things from time to time when we needed them. It's handy to have them close by. Also, the GIS consortium, that was your initiative, was it not? And it's still
Right.
part of SSMMA?
Yeah, we started that. That was a grant we got, because these are the GIS equipment. It's not only the people you have to hire, but the equipment. We got a grant, the same grant, we got $1.5 million to do the other thing I talked about. I think we got about $200,000 in the same grant to buy the equipment to set up. That's what's necessary. And so I think now we have about 20 communities that are in the GIS consortium.
I sent a newspaper article that I copied and sent to all the trustees today about what Tinley Park did, and they went with a private consortium that wasn't part of the government, and the fees that they paid were, in my opinion, insane compared to, one of them was Tinley Park, I'm sorry to say, because I thought they were brighter than that, but I think we got the right deal.
Ed, can I ask you, your brochure actually listed almost 44 suburban communities. Are they all on board? Are they all active members?
I would say that, not every community participates in every program.
Right.
But I would say that all but 2 or 3 of the communities participate in more than one program.
Okay.
Of the mayors, probably 30 or 35 attend regularly.
Yeah. No, I understand not every program, but I'm just saying you listed 44 towns, but they are members of your organization now then, too.
Right.
Good.
Are the members usually mayors or managers or?
Well, the way the organization is set up, the representative is the mayor and or the village administrator or manager. They come to the business meeting. But many of the communities, for example, when we have dinner or business meetings, and we have a business meeting one month and a dinner meeting every other month, typically the mayors will have a trustee or two come with, or they'll bring other staff people just to get a sense of what the organization is about. But the actual voting members are the mayor, and if he's not there, the village manager or administrator.
Any other questions of Mr. Pazel?
No, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate you coming out. I'd like to return. I'm sorry, Mary, I skipped over the one that had more to do with you. The request for approval of an ordinance for the amendment to the current existing CalSag Enterprise Zone, subject to the Enterprise Zone Act of the State of Illinois. Got it in. Moving along, clerk's report.
I have requests for approval for a block party of the residents of 12228 South Ridgeway Avenue on August 6, 2016, from 11 a.m. till 10 p.m. with the DJ until 10 p.m. only. Approval has been received from the fire and police department. And also, I'd like to make a correction. I think I said Trustee McGreal arrived at 7:33. It was 7:44. And that's all I have.
Attorney's report.
Just a quick correction to the agenda under number 5A3. It should just be request for approval to go out for an RFP, not for a bid, for residential refuse. The rest is correct. And that's it.
Engineer's report.
I have a request for approval of the recommendation to award the water main extension between 120th Street and 120th Place to the low bidder, LGS Plumbing Incorporated, in the amount of $75,817. Just a couple of construction updates. Mather Avenue is pretty much buttoned up with the exception of the siding. The transfer bin walls are being constructed this week. And Jewel's on hold right now because of the gas main.
I'm sorry, what's on hold?
Jewel driveway entrance. The gas main is too high, apparently.
Yeah, they've got half of it dug up, so do we know how long the delay's going to take?
They're supposed to relocate it
This week? Okay. At this point, we've reached the public forum. Is there anyone here who wishes to address this board on anything on our agenda this evening? Having heard from no one, standing committees, Finance, Trustee Shapiro.
Mayor, I have a request for the approval of a list of payroll dated June 24th, 2016 as follows. Under earnings of the gross payroll, I have $392,093.95, minus the voluntary employee deduction and taxes of $141,435.13, for a net payroll of $250,658.82. Next, I have a request for the approval of accounts payable dated July 5th, 2016 as follows. Under corporate, $488,444.01. Road and Bridge, $189,792.06. MFT, $4,229.50. The Pulaski Corridor TIF, $2,020.32. The 123rd and Cicero TIF, $1,542.50. Waterworks, $76,815.22. Heritage 2, $11,750.50, for a grand total of all funds of $774,594.11. Next, I have the request for the approval of an RFP for residential refuse recycling and yard waste compost. Trustees, real briefly before we get to the consent agenda to approve this, if you take a look at the couple articles, everyone should have received copies. One was the request for proposals, and you'll see the red line version. The changes that were made were term of 5 years, with the village retaining the right for up to 2 years extension of the contract. Also, we did add in all of the village properties that were discussed by the trustees at the last meeting. That's in the collection service agreement. There's a couple other items that we need to finalize, and that was the recyclable cans. We decided to go with 65-gallon rather than the 35-gallon, if there's no objections to that. I think that pretty much... Oh, and there was one more thing. We removed the most favorable nation status off of the contract, unless someone's got a problem with that. Other than that, trustees, I'd like to get this... Yes. Okay.
If you're done with the refuse. I just had a brief thing, since we didn't have a Finance Committee meeting today. I wanted to give a little piece of good news, because Finance doesn't usually get to be the ones to give good news. I'm not going to comment on the stopgap budget and the whole state thing, but I will with regards to our revenue streams. As part of that stopgap budget, the fight that we had last year with the LGDF, with the use tax, with the 911 monies, with the video gaming, all of those monies, and MFT, all those monies that were held up last year, I guess LGDF wasn't, but it was part of a separate one, that were held up last year when the budget didn't happen, are being guaranteed now through this budget. And Mr. Pazel just informed me that's not just for 6 months, but that looks to be for a year. That was just approved late last last Friday. It was done very quickly, so not everyone's had a chance to look through everything yet, but it looks like we are not going to have that same problem that we did last year, which is good news.
Thank you, Ken. And that's all I have from Finance.
Fire, Trustee Michaels.
I have a list of bills and timesheets, and I have a request for approval of the Foreign Fire Tax Board's purchasing one MSA thermal imaging camera at a cost not to exceed $7,800. The membership majority voted in favor of the purchase, and the imager will be placed on the reserve engine. Chief, could you give a little more information on that?
Yeah, the thermal imager will be the fourth one we have in service. All of our frontline apparatus have a thermal imager. It's very important to look for fire conditions as well as doing for search and rescues. So if a vehicle goes out of service and our reserve engine goes in service, we'll have one. Or if one of our cameras break down, we'll have an extra camera as well. And that was approved by the Foreign Fire Board with their vote.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Next, I have a thank you to District 126. The Alsip Fire Department would like to thank the Superintendent Gwaltney and the school board for allowing the fire department to train at the vacant structure at 122nd and Orchard. Just a special note there, it is down. The building is down. Next, I have a thank you for the Illini chapter of NFPA. The Alsip Fire Department would like to thank the Illini chapter of NFPA for their donation of $150 to the Public Education Division. That's all I have under fire.
Police, Trustee Shapiro.
Mayor, under police, other than the normal list of bills and timesheets, I have a request for the approval to create a second deputy chief position. At this moment in time, that's letter L on the consent agenda. I'm actually going to table this for further discussion. We have to meet yet on the budget meeting yet, and so I think this is just slightly premature. So we're going to table this until we have discussion on the budget. The next two items are request for approval to execute the Gatso USA contract and authorize the village president or the finance director to execute such agreement on behalf of the village. This is our current red light camera company who I believe is doing a very good job. This is for a 3-year contract. Is that correct, Chris?
That's contingent on 115th and Cicero.
Right. And the only reason that we...
If not, 2 years.
Right. The only reason we held up on this was because of that reason. And Downtime maintenance-wise, we've had no reports, no issues. We
A total of probably 10 days at the very onset when they were first getting up and running, and beyond a doubt impeccable compared to our previous red light camera company. And I did speak to IT Masari, and he said the interface between them and us is night and day between the first red light camera company and this company. Says it's been impeccable.
And the communication is pretty good as well. We get monthly reports, readouts, actually down to the person's name and how they paid. So,
I had a question, Trustee Shapiro, and obviously, I've expressed this at the last couple of meetings too when we talked about renewing this contract. While Ganso was approved as the village's photo enforcement contractor back in 2013, the village board hasn't seen a single report, monthly status summary report since. We've never seen one. So, I mean, by asking us to renew a contract with this particular vendor is difficult for me because I have nothing to base it on. We've never seen...
Can I ask a question of you? Did you see reports from Red Speed? Have you ever seen a report from a red light camera? Ever?
Trustee Ryan, you are the first trustee to ask this question in 2.5 years.
Okay.
I say it even goes beyond that. I'm saying I don't know of Red Speed breaking on that. They may have, I don't know.
And I have
Red
all...
Flags, I'm sorry, Red Flags.
And I have all the reports. If you'd like to see copies of the reports, they're all here.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you ask us to renew like a 3-year contract with somebody like this, yet, to ask me to support something like that, I find it really difficult when we've never seen a single monthly summary report as far as how many violations were issued, what the status is, how often there's downtime, if all the equipment's working correctly. We just don't see any of those kind of things. And if I'm the only one to ask, so be it. But especially when you're asking me to renew a 3-year contract, I think it's pertinent that we do.
If you ask it, you'll receive it. Emails were sent out, and just so I can clear the record, emails were sent out this week to me requesting information. I have no problem sending it back. I just wanted to let you know that Trustee Gazelle posed a question. I believe a couple other trustees. I did not send those emails out unsolicited. Those were in requests.
I asked for that information. I also asked from Karen Bonema, which she gave me some information as far as how much money that we're actually making, and we're doing very well, considering that nothing is really...
And all I can say is if you like that, I'm sure we can accommodate you in the future. And either company this board decides to choose tonight. That's what tonight's about. Whatever you decide to choose. If that's something you would like to happen in the future, all I ask is that you circumvent me as the police chief in regards to finances. I would rather stay in the safety aspect of things. Whatever you do on that end, I'd rather not know.
Well, that's...
I just want to make sure the intersections are safe.
That's obviously the major component of any photo enforcement is the idea that it's an extra set of eyes to make our intersections more safe, and that's our reason they're at designated intersections. But that said, unfortunately, revenue does go hand in hand with violations, and you have to know where that revenue is being put. Now, I still have a spreadsheet that the finance office gave me back in January of 2016 that showed the revenue for an entire year, and then they showed the expenses for 6 months of that year, and basically it looked like it was either going to be cost neutral or we possibly even lost revenue on that. And I don't think it's fair to repeat numbers out loud right now. That's voyable, but at the same time...
I don't think so, John. I got some figures that we made 201, and I think they're pretty comparable to what the information that you gave us. It might be a little, depending on what month they did this evaluation, but they're very close. 201 or 289 or...
From January of 2015 to December of 2015 was approximately $284,000. For the first 6 months of that same year, it was $121,000, which would only bring you to a conclusion that number doubled for the second 6 months because all the numbers were somewhat consistent. Based on that, it looks to me like we're either cost neutral or we're losing revenue on this program.
I don't think so.
Trustee, I'm a little confused about what you said. A minute ago, you said you never got a report. Now you just said you got a
Oh,
report.
no, this was information I requested back in January of 2016, when we were trying to identify with ideas on economic recovery solutions, as we talked about back in the day. So, I mean, we were trying to look at ideas if we needed to, not just on the red light cameras, we wanted to see what kind of revenues are coming into the village and where we were at with our status at large. And we talked about vehicle stickers and whatnot, so we made the adjustments we had to at the time. But I've had that on file since January of 2016. And as I said, you know, the contract was brought to us for renewal a week after it expired. So, I mean, it's not like we had, in other words, it gave the appearance that we didn't have a lot of options here, which we do. There are other vendors in town. And we had, back in 2013, we had comparative summaries given to us by the former finance director that we all looked at the same time. Now, you can look at different, how should I say, procedures that work in different towns. Right now, back in 2013 even, I was an advocate for SafeSpeed. I still am. I think it's a popular company. I think the concept of whichever red light photo enforcement contractor you use, the concept is the same regardless, but their procedures are different, you know, depending on which company you use. And from what I understand, with GATSO, they get paid per violation, whereas the SafeSpeed folks get paid only if there's a collection on said violation. So, I mean, there is a difference where you might have a lot of people having citations that never pay their tickets, but yet potentially we're paying that company for said violation, which could be an offset. We could be behind, but who knows? I've never seen a report that says.
I can't confirm any of those facts that you just put out there. I would like to debate them, but I don't know if this is the venue, but I will say that there are subtle differences from what you just said, and again, I just don't want to go that far down this rabbit hole.
And I did, tonight, I did ask, Trustee Shapiro, I did ask some representatives from the SafeSpeed folks, because I did see tonight, this was not in our regular packet, there were questions that the village attorney identified with, but we had a 96-page packet, and now tonight when I get here, it's 142 pages, so a lot more was added to this at the last minute. Matter of fact, it was dated July 31st, and I don't know what day that was. June 31st, I apologize, but I don't know what day that was, because we didn't have a 31st day last month. So I'd like to at least be fair to the other contractor, to let them speak to those questions that were brought up.
Speaking about fair, that company put a camera on our side of 111th Street without so much as notifying us, and I didn't know anything about it until our citizens were raving mad, including some trustees on this board.
Okay.
When I called Oak Lawn and asked Larry DeJean, the village manager, and the mayor, how did that happen, they said, well, they told us 100 times that they contacted you and you were all right with it. They never contacted me once. And I don't like sneaky. I'm just saying.
Nobody does. Is there any kind of a formal complaint you can file, Mayor, if that was wrong?
I'm sorry?
If it's incorrect, did you file any kind of complaint with them?
Is that IDOT?
It's a complaint with who?
With
It's
the village of
right
Oak
away.
Lawn.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an IDOT right away,
IDOT.
and they got away with it. There's nothing we can do about it.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's what I'm
So
saying.
at each
IDOT
end-
has to
Each end
approve.
of the entrances to our town, that company has a camera collecting on our citizens and our businesses. And yet, now you want to put them at 115th and Cicero, is that correct?
I didn't identify anything. I just said I asked to support them as the new photo enforcement
If I may realistically
contractor.
in a different direction here, I appreciate your concern for fairness,
Mhm.
but the fairness pendulum swings both ways. And all I'm going to advocate is this, is that we've had a company that has provided this board and this village an impeccable service. At the last moment, we asked them to accommodate us at 115th and Cicero. When the contract was coming up due, they dropped everything and said, we'll go out there and survey, which is not an easy process. They went out there and surveyed, which put them behind the 8 ball timing-wise. They presented me a contract on time for signature from this board. Unfortunately, it did not mirror, when I read it, what they verbally asked me about the 1 year extra to accommodate the extra signal that we had asked them to put up, which put them the week behind, and with our 2-week cycle, that put us behind. Now, the same company that has provided this village with impeccable service, which I will debate that this is a break-even company, I will severely differ with that. I think someone needs to fact check with our finance and the company, because I think you are way off in those figures. But I will say this, this company came back, and after our first meeting, I will be frank with this board. I haven't had the heart to tell them that we're entertaining other, because when someone comes to a village and provides impeccable service and impeccable programming, to tell them that we're considering someone else, I don't have the heart to tell them. But I did tell them there were some tie-ups, that the trustees are looking for more information, and they have been nothing but patient. So no, this isn't a 12th hour signature. You are, by the good graces of this company, saying, take all the time you need to decide, Alsip. Take all the information you need to decide, Alsip. This is a company that's out their contract. It's a disadvantage to them, not to us. They are being very patient. They're sitting just waiting for our response. So, again, nobody's lighting a fire. If you'd like to fact check, if you'd like to do a little bit more digging, that is your prerogative as a trustee. I don't know if that's the same feelings for the rest of the trustees. But at this point, all I can tell you is, this is a company. I don't know them. I don't care to know them. I don't need to know them. All I know is, it has been a zero maintenance company from the perspective of this police chief.
I, as a trustee, hearing both sides, I personally don't like the red light cameras at all because I get tickets. I've got tickets at 111th and I've got them at 95th Street. But this company seems to be doing a really good job. And I know, I've got both times. But 111th, I wasn't even sure that it was even there yet.
Hey, Lynn,
but
that pedal goes this way, use that one.
But I think that this company's doing a good job, and why would you want to, and from what the information I got from finance was that we made a net profit of $201,562.01. That's the information I got from Karen Bonema, and she printed out something for me, and I can give you a copy of that, because I wanted to find out the information before we voted on this. But why would you want to change something that's working? I'm sure the other company probably does a very good job as well, but we have a company that's doing a good job. And then the downtime, taking out the poles and all the other stuff that I guess it's involved. I don't know that much about it, but why would we want to do that if we have a company that's working?
There's a lot of logistics certainly to this, but I mean, it's something that we do. It's something that's been recommended, that we're supposed to go out there and look for the RFPs or the bids. We're in the process now from our garbage contractor, and from everything that I've heard is that they too were doing a good job. We were recommended to do the same thing with the auditing firm. We had them for a length of time, and they say that it's prudent to go out there and to do that. So to go out there and find out if the service which the chief is saying is a good service, great, that speaks as a testament to them. But what are the fees? What are the iterations as far as the adjudication goes? So I think it's reasonable that we'd go out there and would find those things. But to the chief's point, I think that what we really need is an apples-to-apples comparison to find out what are the costs, how many citations are, to take a look at some of the presentations that we have from any of these companies. You can't talk about an Oak Lawn's experience to ours because they're different intersections, different traffic volumes, different violators. And the reality is that this is all about traffic safety. So for traffic safety, are we doing a good job for the community?
And I could say
A lot better than Redflex.
I'm not saying better than any. I'm just saying a red light camera intersection versus a non-red light camera intersection is safer. I can say that unequivocally. But at some point, kick the can down the road. We have one company that's waiting for an answer. We have another company that's waiting for an answer. And I was hoping, I'm going to tell you, I really appreciated the emails and the questions coming in, and I was trying to get them out to you as soon as you got them in there. I appreciate that. So there was some due diligence, but apparently there are more questions that I think weren't asked, and we're going to have to push this back 2 more weeks, or...
Well, as the trustee said, you hate, and you just said the same thing, you hate to be holding anybody up, especially when we're month to month with the current vendor, contractor, I should say, and
like I said, all I can express is my sentiment and the reflection on the building. And when you have a company, I don't care if they're boarding up houses for me after a crime scene, or if they're a red light company. It breaks my heart when a company comes to our village and provides us an impeccable service.
with the board,
We're still trying to figure out if we want it back.
would the board be okay with hearing anything additional from the SafeSpeed folks, because we got them here tonight as well? Because I think we can clear up any questions that the village attorney had brought up.
I don't think we're interested, to tell you the truth. I think we can move forward with what's on the agenda.
And in this
Well, what's on the agenda is 2 companies.
Right?
Yeah, we've got 2 companies on it.
In fairness, if we are going to do that, then why don't I let the cat out of the bag with Gatso and ask them to come back?
The more information, the better.
Yeah, and I think, actually, we need to get some of our homework done. I know that Deb Freischlag, the previous finance director, had done some of the spreadsheets, and maybe that's something that we need further. Just tonight is we're given a full copy of what the original contract was for Gatso, and I just sit there and to review that as compared to...
Did you see the reaction in my email?
I didn't, Chief.
Okay, because I attached it and I actually put in there, if it's too big, let me know if you don't receive it. Because there was an addendum, and then someone came back, and I think it was Kathy Elliott.
Yeah.
And then I attached the full...
I had received it. Yes.
Yeah, it was a group email, so it was
Yes.
big.
That's why I was kind of surprised the rest of the trustees had not received it, because I knew you all were copied on it.
It was all in...
Yeah, I think we got to check with Brian, because the stuff that you had sent out to the other trustees, as I had indicated to you, I never received that.
Never received that either.
Yeah, so.
I think where the problem comes in is some trustees are using their personal email, and I think that's where the problem comes in with some of the email that goes out.
I
Am
get all the stuff
correct?
from your clerks just fine.
Okay.
I get
Thank
everything
you.
to both emails, and I get it
All
from
right,
the clerk's
I'm
office, but
gonna-
I don't get all of it all the time.
Okay.
I'm going to put a stop to this right now. I'm pulling request for approval to execute the Gatso USA contract and authorize the village president to execute such agreement on behalf of the village. Trustee, that's your motion.
That's my motion, yeah.
Is there a second to approve?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Roll call number 1. Trustee Shapiro.
Yes.
Trustee McGrail.
No.
Trustee Dizelle.
No.
Trustee Ryan.
No.
Trustee Michaels.
Yes.
Trustee Dwyer.
Yes.
Mayor Kitching.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve the Gatso USA contract and authorize the village president or finance director to execute such
Actually,
agreement.
that's slightly flawed because nobody can sign a contract for the village except the mayor or the village president.
Approval of the Gatso contract.
Yes. Anything else under finance?
Under police,
I'm sorry, under police?
well, I had the number 3 with the It's the safe speed, but we'll have to take it off the consent agenda then.
What item is that?
And
And that's just been removed.
Moving along.
I would like to add something under police. I had mentioned something to Chief Rads about the pilot at 127th and Kedzie. I had mentioned it before about all the trucks parked along both sides and enormous amount of trucks all over. And almost immediately it was taken care of, and the trucks are no longer parked on the side. They're all in the back of the business. It looks so much better. And
I did go in there and talk with the new manager. The other one had to go, and he said that he would take care of it, and he did. In fact, I was there today just checking up.
Also, Chief, thank you for 119th Cicero.
Yes.
Yes.
Morning.
Great job.
I was on the phone with
You're
them.
here.
And one other thing, I wanted to update the board on Narcan is now out in the vehicles. The hang-up was Cook County has not offered any training. We had to send our officers to Will County to receive the Narcan training. So we have it out in the cars and in the hands of the officers.
It's got to be
That
40.
has been addressed. The car's been addressed, the pilot. I met with the manager, and we're going to talk on we talked about numbering the slots and them calling us with any complaints they have, so the officer can go right to the slot and cite any people that are there longer than they need to be. And we also talked to them about proper signage and proper parking to help us enforce and to sign a contract. Enforcement, not a contract, enforcement.
also, you've been doing a lot of work with the different signage and stuff because it's very noticeable, especially in that little strip mall at 127th.
Yeah.
In Pulaski.
Pulaski, I've been up and down with the sign ordinance, speaking with owners to try and get them to buy into the village's beautification campaign. I said the village is spending thousands upon thousands of dollars to beautify this strip. Could you meet us halfway? And I'm going to be honest, I've gotten a lot of cooperation from a lot of the businesses just by visiting with them for 20 minutes, half hour. All of the flags are down, the vinyl signs are down with the exception of La Fiesta. So we've got to talk to La Fiesta. They're throwing these vinyl signs up over their awnings, and they don't have any permits. So we're going to work that through. But everybody does have a buy-in. The businesses, they're doing really well. So,
good job.
Can I ask one more question about the beautification? On Pulaski, I've noticed that most of the businesses are taking care of cutting their grass, but there are some that are not. And I know all the flowers and the trees and everything look really nice, but that really takes away from it. I was wondering if, I don't know, maybe you've already done this, send a letter out to the businesses saying that we've spent this money.
Our health officer, Linda, does that. And we have some houses in town that we just cut because we can't find the owners and it was knee-deep. They will pay us back eventually, I guarantee you that. As for our health officer now is on medical leave, and so I don't have
That's true.
anybody to do that right now, but she did send out letters before she went off on leave.
I mean, maybe the Manheim Group could also add a letter saying that we are working for the village and we need to...
We only have them 10 hours a week. I really don't want to
Yeah.
tie them up on that, but I don't have a problem with sending a letter out from my office. Would you like to identify the properties that need to be? I know there's one that the lot's for sale, and
Right.
he's a problem every year, and I know who owns that, and I will go after him. So if we have to, we can write a ticket. Let's send the CSOs on them.
yeah, I'll get the
Oh,
CSOs
that's true,
on it.
right,
We'll get it
okay.
fixed.
Would that work?
But we have the entire division trying to mirror the campaign in the village to make sure they keep a very, very critical eye on Pulaski just so that we can keep it looking good, and hopefully one day we can move over to Cicero and do the same.
It annoys me that people will take duct tape and tape their signs to our new street poles. When you pull duct tape off, it pulls the powder coating with it. And there it goes. Now it starts to deteriorate from then on. And I just pulled one off at 115th and Cicero the other day. And it was for a garage sale, and they used big pieces of duct tape. And as soon as you pulled it off came the powder coating. So that lamp is permanently damaged, and there's nothing we can do about it except keep taking them down. Try to make it clear to people that that's not tolerated. We'll just keep trying. Public Works, Trustee Dwyer.
Let's see, I have a request for approval to issue $32 refund to Marietta McKenney for a vehicle sticker purchase for a vehicle they no longer own. I also have a request for approval to issue a $32 refund to Donald Band for a vehicle sticker purchase. He is 62 years old, and the sticker should have been free. And that's all I have under Public Works.
Building, Trustee Michaels.
I have a list of bills and timesheets. A request for approval for a fundraiser at Southside Bar at 11860 South Cicero Avenue on July 24, 2016 for Demigods and BlueForLife.org. The charity supports families of fallen police officers. Next, I have a request for approval to host a car show at O'Reilly Auto Parts at 11920 South Cicero Avenue on July 31st, 2016. It'll run from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. And also, they have a letter stating that Home Depot will allow them to use their parking lot for this event.
That was my next question. Their parking lot's pretty small. I don't know how they're going to get a car show in there.
Yeah. Okay, next is a request for approval of foundation-only permit for Uncle Bob's Storage located at 5253 West 111th Street. I'm also going to add an additional thing on here is that, which we normally do, but I just want to make sure, that they sign a hold harmless agreement with the village to protect the village on that.
Good idea.
Yeah, we always do that.
Yeah, I know, I'm just making sure that it's in there and under the minutes.
You bet.
Next, I have a request for approval of payment for the Robinson Engineering invoice for work completed for Dunkin' Donuts at 11843 Pulaski Road in the amount of $1,541. That's all I have under building.
Sewer and Water, Trustee Dizelle.
Presentation of the employee time records, list of bills, the department June 2016 monthly activity report. Have the request for approval to hire one full-time seasonal clerical personnel for a period not to exceed 10 weeks. That person will be paid at $10 an hour. Also, the request for approval to award the replacement of the 15-ton air handler condenser to Air Comfort Corporation. Their proposal was $17,980. That's all I have, Mayor.
License, Trustee Ryan.
License Committee requests approval for a list of licenses dated today, July 5th, 2016. We also had two new business applications, one from United General Contractors. They'll be at 12616 South Kroll. They're a general contractor. The other one's Impel Union Incorporated. They'll be at 12161 South Central, and they're a leasing contractor. That's all we have.
I'm sorry, what type of contractor?
Leasing.
Lease.
Planning and Zoning, Trustee Dwyer.
No report, Mayor.
Special Committee reports, Village Properties, Trustee Michaels.
I have a list of bills and a request for approval from Robinson Engineering to prepare specs to go out to bid for asphalt in the Village Hall parking lot. It's sorely needed, but talking to the Finance Department, it would be a good idea to table this to August 1st until we have the budget finalized. So I'm tabling it to August 1st.
Where's that at on the consent agenda? W? Item W?
W.
Item W.
W, yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the date?
August 1st, 2016.
Okay.
Next, I have an update of the vacancy rate at both Heritage 1 and Heritage 2. I have a letter from Roger on that. I would like to provide an update to the Mayor and Board regarding the vacancy rate at Heritage 1 and Heritage 2. There are 4 vacancies at Heritage 1 and 2 vacancies at Heritage 2. I just want to compliment Roger and his crew because that is fantastic. I've been doing those properties now. I'm in my 7th year. I've never heard of that vacancies that low.
That low.
Yeah.
You did mention the other day that his goal was 100% occupancy, but he's just this close.
That's fantastic.
Keep trying, Roger. We appreciate it.
Good
And
job.
how's the toilet installation going over there? Why?
Well, that's not an incentive to get people in, Roger.
Yeah.
They've got 3 buildings completed, and work is stopped as of
Why is it stopped?
Supposedly they don't have the toilets to stop. But I have a guy that works at the supply house continuously.
You know a guy that knows a guy?
Is that what you're telling us?
I
He's
think
gonna
I
try
think
to
the guy
flush
was
it
a
out.
little bit flush, too.
I'm the guy.
Oh, that was funny, John.
All right, well,
Okay.
keep trying, will you? We want to keep everybody happy over there.
That's all I have under village properties.
Insurance, Trustee McGreal.
There's no report tonight.
Ordinance and legislation, Trustee Dizelle.
There's no report, but what I would like to do is arrange with the committee for our next meeting date of July 11th. We could have a committee at 6:30 to discuss some of the pending ordinances that we had, the village attorney draft, some of the status of the ones that are still outstanding, and that's it.
Did you have a date in mind?
7/11, sir, at 6:30. And
I
we'll
won't
get
be
the
able,
agenda
I
to
won't be
the
able to
clerk.
make that. I don't know who else is on the
John, would you be
committee.
able to make that?
It's our next board
Monday?
I have a funeral. Awaken.
Or do you want to do that, do you want to do it the 18th?
I could do the 18th.
That would be the next board meeting.
Yeah. All right, I'll set it that way, and I'll get the clerk the agenda. Thank you.
IT, Trustee Ryan.
No report.
Boat launch, Trustee Ryan.
Spoke to Joel Costa earlier today. He's with the South Suburban Convention Bureau. They like to have a boat, a fishing tournament in September. Their request at this time is that they want to bring out a trailer and have a nice presentation. They'd like to know if we could lock the yard at night to protect their equipment. And they'd also like to have us, he wanted to know if there's going to be fees involved. And I said, we don't charge for an event fee, but we do have a launch fee per boat, which is what we've done for other boat fishing tournaments. He'd like to have us waive all fees. And I says, I'll bring that to the board for consideration, and we can get back to you.
I don't think we can.
We've never, the contract with the MWRD is not going to allow us to waive the fees.
That's why I'm bringing it to the board, just relaying a message that I got today, a request, I should say, that I got today. So it's, I'll let him know that, and I did explain to him as far as them having a trailer for presentations and whatnot, that particular day we could ask staff to just remind anybody that thinks they're going to leave a car late to park in the other lot. We've got 2 lots over there, because they need the one closest to the pavilion for power sources and so forth then too. So we can work that out, but it's just a matter of having staff work it out, that's all. So that's all I have.
Are there any presentations, petitions, or communications which we have not covered under ordinary business? Trustees, are there any items you wish to remove from the consent agenda?
Item F, please.
I'm sorry,
F is in
trustee.
Frank.
What letter did you say, item F?
F is in Frank, yes.
F?
And I have item W already removed.
Right.
And just you have
All
that
right.
change on J from bid to RFP.
Yep.
So,
I'd entertain a motion to establish the consent agenda.
So
Well,
moved.
also M has already been voted on, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, that's been voted on, and
M and N.
L's already been
L and
tabled.
N. L
is
and
that
N, right?
for August 1st, too? Table?
That one was gold.
No, I'm sorry. You're right.
And trustee Michaels, you said you had removed I?
No,
That
ma'am.
was
Okay.
tabled.
W. W is in William.
Okay.
Okay, entertain a motion to establish the consent agenda.
So moved?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
B should read, dated June 24th, in the amount of $392,093.95. C should read, $774,594.11. E is now ordinance number 2016-7-1. F was removed by trustee Dizelle. J should read approval for an RFP for residential refuge, recycling, and yard waste compost. L has been tabled until discussion with finance.
Yeah, till August 1st, till budget.
Okay, until August 1st. M has already been voted on and approved to execute the contract with Getso USA. N has been removed from the consent agenda. W has been tabled by Trustee Michaels until August 1st. Roll call number 2. Trustee Shapiro?
Yes.
Trustee McGreal?
Yes.
Trustee Dizelle?
Yes.
Trustee Ryan?
Yes.
Trustee Michaels?
Yes.
Trustee Dwyer?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call number 3. Trustee Shapiro?
Yes.
Trustee McGreal?
Yes.
Trustee Dizelle?
Yes.
Trustee Ryan?
Yes.
Trustee Michaels?
Yes.
Trustee Dwyer?
Yes.
Motion carries to approve.
Returning to the items removed, item F, Trustee Dizelle.
Mayor, this is the first time that I've seen this ordinance, and I would like to table this until the proposed ordinance legislation committee meeting scheduled for the 18th for review and consideration.
Going to make a motion to table then?
Yes, sir.
Second?
A motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call number 4, to table the ordinance amending the Alsip Village Code until July,
18th.
after the July 18th ordinance and legislation meeting. Trustee Shapiro?
Yes.
Trustee McGreal?
Yes.
Trustee Dizelle?
Yes.
Trustee Ryan?
Yes.
Trustee Michaels?
Yes.
Trustee Dwyer?
Yes.
Motion carries to table.
Okay, item L, approval to create a second deputy chief position has been tabled. Item N, that was the safe speed thing. That was redundant. We already took care of that. Item W, approval for Robinson Engineering to prepare specs and go out to bid for asphalt for the Village Hall parking lot was tabled till August 1st. And that's all. Any new business? I mean, any unfinished business? Any new business?
Mr. Mayor, under unfinished business, 2 things. I just would like to go on the record that I think it's really a disservice to the community and the vendors that we didn't get to hear more information to make a more informed decision on the camera situation. And the second thing is there any updates on Jawa?
Haven't heard a word.
No meetings,
I wish to hear something, believe me. Any new business? Entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's all, folks. Thank you all for coming out.
Sheila, you second. Who made the motion?
Who made the motion, John? Do you know?
Kevin? John? Yeah, me too.
I think it was Johnny coming, but I'm not sure.